World lighting is often treated as an afterthought, but it's one of the most powerful tools you have to shape the mood of your world. You can use it to guide players and add realism. It's kind of like background music, where if it's good, nobody notices, but it does affect the mood. In this tutorial, I'm going to give you a step-by-step process for lighting your worlds. It's the same approach that professional lighting designers use in animation, games, and theater. I've adapted the process to show you how you can use it in Horizon Worlds with the tools we have available today. First, let's look at types of lights. The key light is the main source of light for your scene, which is often the sun or the moon. If you're indoors, it might be a lamp or sunlight streaming through the window. It shines across the world in one direction, casting shadows around the scene. In Horizon Worlds, this can be simulated with an area light. Here's some examples of how different sunlight colors affect a scene in Horizon Worlds. We have the sun at noon, we have sun through clouds or haze, and then we have sun at sunrise and sunset. Each of these different types of sunlight have an associated color value that you can reference. The fill light complements the key light. It fills in the dark parts of the rest of the scene and reduces harsh lighting contrast. It basically is toning down the drama of the scene. In Horizon, we use the environment gizmo to let sky domes function as a fill light. These unique light sources surround and provide light from all around your scene. They simulate the light from the sky and can work well as a fill light. I added a fill light to this room, and you can see how it reduces some of the harsh shadows, giving the scene more of a soft and natural look. Practical light sources are visible as 3D models in your world, so these could include street lamps, neon signs, or candles. In Horizon, these can usually be simulated with a static point light. You might need to use multiple lights with your model. So for example, a lamp might have a soft glow through the lampshade, as well as a disc of light that's aimed out of the bottom of the lamp. Volumetric lights refer to lights that are visible, maybe because they're passing through dust, fog, or water. They actually look like objects of light and they can add drama to a scene. Think of spotlights on a stage. These can be created using Horizon's masked blend materials to make cone spotlights or rays. Including a static light, maybe a disc-shaped one for a spotlight, adds extra realism to the volumetric light. Spotlights are cone-shaped lights that give you the most control over light shape. So in Horizon, you can set this up using a dynamic light gizmo and then choose the cone shape. Changing the spread of these lights lets you fine-tune the size of the spotlight. The dynamic light gizmo has a higher performance cost, so you should use it sparingly. And they're best used for moving light, such as spotlights or flashlights. Now I'm going to talk through the process that you can use to light a scene. And the first step is always to get reference images. So this helps us have a blueprint and a goal for lighting design. We can choose one or several images from photographs, paintings, or film. It might seem strange to use a reference photo for an animated project, but even cartoon environments are based on real-life environments. So we'll go step by step. And you can use this flowchart to keep track of the process. The first step is to add the key light. So we want to analyze the reference image to find the main source of light. You can look at illumination, specular highlights, and shadows. So in our scene, the main source of light is definitely the sun streaming down through the center of the tree. Then the second step is going to be to choose the type of light that best represents this light source. So this could be a point light, an area light, a sky dome, etc. So I'm thinking for this main key light, the sunlight's strong and directional, it's casting shadows, and we see contrast and lighting from the deeper forest and the opening in the trees above. So I'll choose a directional static light and use either the disc or rectangular shape. Step 3 is to put the light in the approximate location it should be. So you can use your reference image to see where the light seems to originate from. I'm putting this key light in the sky above the trees. To simulate the hole in the canopy from the reference, I'm having this light only take up a small area of the sky. This way we can have some contrast in the lighting in this world. Step 4 is to set the intensity of the key light to match your reference image. Consider how bright the highlights and shadows from the light look. I set the intensity of my key light really high in order to get as much contrast as possible. Then step 5 is to set the color of the key light to match the reference image. Look at the color of the light in different areas of the image. You can even use a color picker tool. I set the color of my key light to yellow. The reference shows an unnaturally bright shade of yellow, which is kind of fun and cheerful, and I want to match this in order to get a similar stylized look. Step 6 is to check that the shadows and shaping roughly align with the reference. Depending on your world and the amount of vertices you have, shadows might not show up so much, so don't worry too much about trying to optimize in this environment. In my case, by focusing on one key light, we have achieved a sense of shadow and contrast in our forest. While the forest is currently too dark, this can be adjusted with the fill light. So now we repeat this process for our second light, which is going to be the fill light. And in the reference image, we can see that even the dark spots of the forest aren't pitch black. We have some ambient light coming from the sky and reflections. We'll use the environment gizmo with the sky dome to represent this fill light. Then we use our exposure settings to change the intensity of the sky dome. I like to start with a value of around 0.2 to keep some contrast with the key light without being too dark where you can't see anything. Next, we set the fill color using a custom gradient in the sky dome and select 2 or 3 different colors to use. We can change their gradients and exponents to adjust. I chose to use blue and purple cool tones to match the color of the sky in my reference image. I think the contrast between our main area and the rest of the forest has improved. So at this point, you can continue on with the rest of the lights in the same way. I'll give a quick summary of how I approached the rest of the lights in the scene. I used multiple static lights to simulate the patches of sun coming through the trees. We don't quite have the level of complexity needed to truly simulate small shadows of leaves, so we can simulate this light using small static lights instead. For volumetric lights, the light streaming down from the sky would look great as volumetric lights. I started by taking the volumetric light mesh from earlier and positioning it to match the position and angle of the sun rays. I then changed the tint color and tint strength to match the color and opacity of the reference image. The meshes land in the same areas I set up my sun patches, which ties the scene together. The largest tree on the left of our reference image has a rim light on the edge of it to separate it from the rest of the forest. We can use this look by positioning a static light on our tree. I set the shape of the light to match the tree, and then positioned it facing the edge of the tree that faces the light. This helps to create a dramatic look and emphasizes the brightness of the sun shining down, as well as the size of the tree. For practical lights, I noticed all these magical particles floating around in this image. They could be leaves, magic dust, embers, but either way, we can approximate these using Horizon's VFX assets. If you go to the public assets folder and filter the assets by VFX, you can choose which asset will best match the look you're going for. So I chose the falling leaves asset. In the properties menu, try changing these values until your particles look similar to your reference. Consider both static properties such as color and size, as well as the movement of the particles, things like vertical speed and lifetime. While it's difficult to get high fidelity lighting that matches a reference image, I think I was able to capture the feel of the reference. The world feels mysterious and magical. You can use this lighting process to start to develop a comfortable way of working with lights. As more lighting features become available in Horizon, make sure you add them to your toolbox. But by understanding these fundamentals and following a process, your lighting skills will start to improve and you'll be able to start creating amazing ambiance.